Morning students, this is HD Pawar, lecturer Department of Economics, Gokte PU College of Commerce and Science, Belgaum. Students, till now I have completed four lessons. That is, first one is micro introduction, then second one is consumer behavior, then the third topic is done by Madri sir, PM Madri sir, that is production and cost. Then I have completed the fourth topic, that is the theory of a firm in perfect competitive market. So all these are micro lessons. As I have told you at the beginning, economics is divided into two parts, micro and macroeconomics. So micro 4 lessons are completed. There are two more lessons in micro which I would like to keep pending, and today I shall begin with macro part. First lesson, macro introduction. So welcome to the first topic of macro studies. That is, first one is macro introduction, topic 1. Now you already know what is microeconomics. It studies small parts of an economy, like individual behavior of a person, individual behavior of a consumer, individual behavior of a supplier, individual behavior of a firm, individual prices of a particular product. So it studies at micro level or at a individual level or at a smaller level. Then the macro introduction, that is macro, deals with aggregate and averages of economic variables. Aggregate here means, the meaning of aggregate is what? Total. Okay, when somebody asks you what is your aggregate marks, that is, you tell the total marks of the 6 subjects together, like that way. Aggregate and averages means overall, that is, what is your overall percentage, like that way. So macro deals with aggregate and averages of economic variables of an economy. The economic variables are what here? Like the national income. National income is a study at macro level. It studies the income of the entire country, not like per capita income, that is individual or per head income. It studies national income as a whole, total savings of the country, total investments of the country, total output or total production, etc. Okay, it takes into account the interlinkages among different sectors of the economy. It takes into account the interlinkages, means what? There are different sectors in the economy and all the sectors are interlinked, they are connected to each other, they are dependent on each other, they are interdependent, they are connected to each other. So it takes into account the interlinkages among different sectors of the economy. Now the main sectors of macro economy are namely household, firms, government and external sector. There will be a question, different sectors of macroeconomics. You can write household, firms, government and external sector. Macro has emerged as a separate subject in 1930s due to J.M. Keynes. Here I am sorry, I should have written by mistake. It is written in small letters. It should be in capital letters. J.M. Keynes, that is John Maynard Keynes. You can just write as J.M. Keynes. After the Great Depression. Now see, earlier economics was combined with other social sciences, then it obtained the status of a separate subject. Then it only, according to the classical economist, only microeconomics was studied. Then later, after the 1930s, macroeconomics also gained importance, that is, it emerged, it came as a separate, it was considered as a separate subject in 1930s due to J.M. Keynes. The credit of macroeconomics goes to J.M. Keynes. Okay, he is the pioneer, he is the what do you say, he is the main person for macroeconomics after the Great Depression. Now, what is Great Depression? We shall deal it again in the separate question. Just let me tell you, depression is a period where all the economic activities of production, consumption are slowed down. Okay, there is no profits, no production, investments are less, consumption is less, so it is a period of Great Depression. Now let us study the important features of capitalistic economy. Now in the microeconomics, we have dealt with the types of economies, that is centrally planned economy, then capitalistic economy and mixed economy. Here there is a question important, these are all according to the question bank only. Okay, the important features of capitalistic economy are, there is, we will discuss it in points. The first point, there is private ownership of property and land. Okay, that means every individual has the right over the property. They can buy how much ever property they want, they can own how much ever property they want and use it, run the enterprise means they can run any business or trade, and organize means arrange the factors of production. What are the factors of production? There will be a question. Arrange for the factors of production like what? Land, labor, capital and organization by making factor payments. You are going to arrange for the factors of production and do the production. In turn, the organizer will have to pay the rent for the land, wages to the labor, interest to the capital, and the profits will be retained by the organizer. Okay, so firstly there is private ownership, right to private ownership of property and land. Second one, economic freedom. There is economic freedom. What economic freedom? That is given to the private individuals or private companies. Here you can say the central problems, the basic problems of the economy, of what to produce, how to produce, how much to produce and for whom to produce, are solved by the market forces of demand and supply. What are the market forces? The market forces are demand and supply. Okay, and also the consumers have the freedom to buy the goods that they want to consume by paying price for it. So economic freedom is the producer, an individual producer or an individual person can decide what he wants to produce, how much he would want to produce and for whom he wants to produce, and accordingly arrange for the factors of production. And even the consumers have the freedom to buy the goods that they want to consume, provided they are able to pay the price for it. Okay, so third one, so the first one is there is private ownership of property and land. Second one, economic freedom, what to produce and what the consumer can consume after paying the price. So here, then the third one is price mechanism. Price mechanism means what? The prices of, what is price mechanism? The prices of goods and services are decided by the demand and supply forces. okay, in the market without any interference or intervention of the government. Here the producer is ready to supply the goods that are demanded by the consumers in the market. So and there is no interference of the government will not decide the price. It is dependent on the demand for the goods and supply of the goods. The prices are decided, and that itself is called as a price mechanism. So you must have understood this much. Firstly, macro deals with aggregates and averages of the economic variables. It deals with the economy as a whole. It deals with the economy as a whole. It studies the economy at a large view. Then the important features, then the credit of economics goes to whom? J.M. Keynes. These are the questions I am telling you. Then the Great Depression began in the year 1930s. Then important features of capitalistic economy, there is private ownership of property and land, economic freedom, price mechanism. Then let's come to the next part. Fourth point, the important features of capitalistic economy. Fourth point, profit motive. Now, it is the main aim of economic activities by individuals. A private individual, say for example, you are doing some economic activity, you are producing certain goods and services. Why are you engaging yourself in an economic activity? Because you want to earn something, you want to make a profit for yourself so that you can carry on your living. So the main aim of economic activity by individuals is what? Profit motive. They are engaging in production, distribution activities, exchange activities for profit purpose. Then the fifth point of capitalistic economy feature is less role of government. Less role of the government means here the government provides the basic framework, of rules and regulation. Here the government sets, it is the central authority, it sets certain rules, regulations, it frames regulations means it sets certain rules and regulations or conditions. Framing and collection of taxes, it will frame the taxation policy also. How much tax is to be levied on different individuals, how much tax is to be levied on producers, how much tax is to be levied on the sellers, then how much tax is to be levied on what goods and services. So it will set the taxation policy, and accordingly its job is also to collect the taxes and giving guidance and providing infrastructure facilities. It will set certain rules, regulations or conditions, and these are only the guidance, and it provides infrastructure facilities. Infrastructure means what? Certain facilities or services of transportation, energy or power supply, banking, school, colleges, health facilities, law and order, judiciary, then other civic facilities like drinking water, etc. to the people of the country. Means it provides all the basic facilities or infrastructure facilities required by the people of the country. Okay, and the production part is left to the private sector or private individuals, and they have to function according to the rules and regulations set by the government. Okay, in today's India we see that ours is a mixed economy where the major part of production is left to the private sector, where government only sets the rules, regulations and runs the economy, collecting the taxes, providing facilities, taking care of law and order, defense, etc. Okay, less role of government in the sense here, less role in the production activities. The major production takes place by the private sector. Then give the factors of, so these are the 5 points of capitalistic economy. Then another question is, give the factors of production and their rewards, or name the factors of production and their rewards. I have taken it again as a separate question, you already know it. Factors of production are what? Land, labor, capital and organization. The rewards are rent, wages, interest and profits respectively. That is, land gets rent, labor gets wages and salaries, capital, that is money or investment, they get interest, and organization or organizer or entrepreneur, he earns profits respectively. Then who are the economic agents? This is another important question. It may come for 1 mark or 2 marks. The economic agents are the individuals or the institutions, any individuals are there, firms are there, then government institutions are there, like the banks, like government, which take economic decisions, are called as economic agents. So the question may be, who are the economic agents? You will write individuals or institutions which take economic decisions. Or the question may be, who are economic decision makers? The economic decision makers, they are the economic agents, like individuals or institutions which take economic decisions. Understood? Now we are also taking economic decision. As a consumer, we take the decision how much to what to consume, at what price to consume, how much to consume. As a producer, the producer takes the decision what to produce, how much to produce, for whom to produce. As a bank, the bank takes the decision whom to give loan, at what rate of interest to give loan, etc. Okay. Government takes decision what rules should be there, what regulation should be there, what tax policy should be there. So whoever are engaged in economic activities, they are taking their decisions, they are called as decision makers or economic agents. Then next one, what does classical school of thought say? Another question, that is, as I told you, it is all according to the question bank only. Then what does the classical school of thought say? Classical school means what? As I have told you, economics study is broadly classified into what? Microeconomics and macroeconomics. The followers of microeconomics like Adam Smith, Alfred Marshall, they believed in microeconomic study, and that is called as classical school of thought. Okay, they believed in the older version, that is they believed in microeconomics, it is called as classical thought. Then those who believed in modern economy, that is, modern economy is considered as the study of macroeconomics. The followers are, modern economy followers are J.M. Keynes and his followers. So what does classical school of thought say? It says that all the laborers who are ready to work will get employment, and all the factories will work at full capacity, and the government has minimum role to play in economic activities, that is, it is called as a laissez-faire policy. Okay, what is laissez-faire policy means? Here the role of the government is minimum in economic activities, that is called as laissez-faire policy. So here they believed that all the laborers of the country who are ready to work, everyone will get employment, and all the factories, they are working at full capacity level. It is a classical thought and they believed in it, whereas in reality in modern economics that cannot be. Okay, otherwise there would be not issues, economic issues like unemployment, poverty, okay, etc. So it was their thought. They believed all the laborers who are ready to work in the country will get employed, and all the factories will be working at full capacity, and the role of the government is limited only to the basic, providing basic facilities, and there is a minimum role or minimum interference, less interference of or no interference of government in economic activities, especially production. That is called as laissez-faire policy. Then next question, what is wage rate? Now we have seen the factor, one of the important factor of production, labor. Labor works, why? Because he wants to earn money for himself, and the rewards the labor gets by providing his labor services is what? Wage. Then what is wage rate? It is the rate at which the sale and purchase of labor services take place. It is the rate at which sale and purchase of labor services take place. That is, there is sale and purchase means here there is supply of labor from the workers side, from the labor side, and purchase means demand is labor is demanded by the producers for production purpose, and depending on the supply of labor and demand for labor, the wage rate is determined. Okay, so you can simply write it is the rate at which sale and purchase of labor services takes place. Then one more question we shall deal with. Describe 4 major sectors of the economy from macro point of view. In the starting only I told you there are different sectors in the economy, and they are grouped as 4 important sectors which are interlinked or interdependent or interconnected to each other. So another important question, the 4 major sectors are interrelated and dependent on each other. First one, household. Household means what? People like us, okay, who are living in families, who are individuals. Household buy the goods and services for consumption and also supply factors of production like land, labor, capital, and entrepreneur. Okay, we the people are acting as consumers. We purchase the goods that are produced by the firms or the producers for consumption purpose, and we are also suppliers of factors of production. I say you may be having land, you may supply your land, you may give your land on rent, you do not have anything, you can act as a labor, you can provide your labor services and get rent, or I may be having investments, okay, which I will provide money or capital through banks and fetch interest on the capital. And entrepreneurs are there, entrepreneurs or organizers or firms, they arrange or they organize for all these factors like land, labor, capital, and they they take part in producing the goods and services, and they get what? Profits. Okay, so the household are acting in two capacities. They act as a consumer also of goods and services, and they are also the suppliers of factors of production of goods and services. Then second one, firm. Second sector is the firms. The firms are the economic units that carry out the actual production, who organize all the factors of production and resources like land, labor and capital. They arrange for the raw materials, etc., with motive of profit making. So household, firstly household is what? They are acting in two capacities. They are suppliers of factors of production, and they are also acting as consumers of the goods produced. Then firms, they are actual producers. They are actually into production of goods and services. They are arranging all the resources and with the motive of profit making. Then the third sector, important sector, is government. Government provides the rules, regulations. The same things are repeated again. The government provides rules and regulations. Then means it sets certain conditions how the businesses should run. Then maintain law and order, growth and stability. It is the job of the government to see that there is a progress or there is growth of the economy, the GDP is increasing, and there is stability, that is there should be stable, it should be certain, there should be not many ups and downs, though they are going to be there, but see that there is stability in the economic growth of the nation. And gives administrative services. Administrative services means so many government employees are there who are in the process of providing all the services. And infrastructure services like transportation, communication, education, health, etc. at a nominal price. Okay, government is providing all these facilities at a very reasonable price with a motive of social welfare. Okay, the government provides not with the intention of profit making, but it is the duty of the government when it that it collects the taxes, and the same is used for the welfare of the society. So the motive here is social welfare, well-being of all the people of the society or country. Then fourth one, external sector. Okay, external sector is engaged. External sector means foreign sector or foreign trade. Okay, is engaged in export and import of goods and services. The goods and services produced in the country are sold to the rest of the world. It is called as exports. Okay, when a country produces goods and services and sells it to the rest of the world, to other countries, it is called as exports. And the goods and services purchased from outside the country or rest of the world is called as imports. So here the major sectors of the economy which are interdependent, interrelated, they are what? Household sector, which are acting in two capacities, as a supplier of factors of production and as consumers of goods and services produced by the firms. Then the second sector is the firms who are actually doing the production of goods and services. There are many firms in our country, like the Tatas are there, the Ambanis are there, okay, etc. These are the firms who are engaged in production of goods and services. Then third sector is the government sector, which provides all the rules, regulation, maintains law and order, defense, sees that there is stable growth of economy, provides administrative services and infrastructure services with the motive of social welfare. And the fourth external sector, that is engaged in what? Import and export of goods. When a country purchases from when a country sells the goods to other countries, it is called exports, and when it purchases the goods from other country, it is called as imports. So I hope you have understood this much. For today this is sufficient. Thank you.